I don't know if you know this, but anybody can say that they're plumbers. They can just get a van and say that they're plumbers, and then they can drive around and case out your house and wait for you to go away on vacation. And then they break in because they think your whole family is gone, but really you left your son at home
All
when you
alone.
all went to Paris. And then they try to break in, and then it's a whole thing that happens then. So
I just finally caught on when you said the Paris thing. I was like, I really hope you're not speaking from experience. This sounds really scary.
the wet bandits.
Oh, the wet bandits. Hello, and welcome to Valley Girls, the bi-weekly podcast exploring everything there is to see, do, try, eat, and experience in New York's Hudson Valley by talking to the makers, the doers, the growers, the creators, and all the unique voices of the Hudson Valley. I'm Jenny Leifer.
And I'm Jennifer Santiago, and together as the Valley Girls, we're telling the Hudson Valley story one episode at a time. We're so happy you're here.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Valley Girls. Our guest today is extra special. If you've been listening this season, you know the Valley Girls have our first ever season-long sponsor. And you've heard from Matt Bryant briefly on each episode. But today, we're diving deep with him. Welcome, Matt Bryant, owner of Bryant Home Improvement. Thank you for joining us, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be on one of your episodes finally.
So, Matt, winter is coming. And we might be thinking about decorating for the holidays or getting our homes all spiffed up for hosting holiday gatherings, but winter conditions in the Hudson Valley can be hard on our homes. What should we be thinking about or doing now to make sure our homes are safely tucked in for the season?
Good question. With the holidays and the change of seasons, winter can definitely get quickly upon us. So the distractions definitely pull from some of the basic homeowner stuff that could be really good preventative measures. So one of the biggest things as you hit winter is, I would say, is your gutters. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is for gutters to clog. And when gutters get clogged, not only can they wreak havoc during the rainy season, but also during the winter. It'll prevent some snow melt off the roof. It'll block up and then turn into ice. And that ice can actually get heavy enough to rip your gutters off your roof. So basic gutter maintenance would be great. A lot of the other stuff could be winterizing your hose bibs or your garden spigots. Most homes now will have a shutoff valve, but it's really recommended to open up the outside spigot, hit the shutoff valve on the inside to let it drain out a little bit, because a deep freeze can actually penetrate the house deep enough to split the pipeline, the supply line on the inside of the house. So winterizing your hose bibs, gutter clean out, and then depends on the rest of the stuff you have in your home. Some people have outside AC condensers you might want to cover before snowfall hits. And another couple to-dos when it comes to getting your homes ready for the winter would be any of the cold draft spots in your house. A lot of the older homes with single pane glass windows or poor insulation around windows, maybe doors that aren't sealed up correctly. You're going to want to do some stuff to keep the cold draft out. You can add weather stripping, you can add the plastic film. And a lot of the doors will have the opportunity to have door seals on the bottom of the doors. Anything you can do to keep the cold drafts out would be great. And then another one would be the fireplace. Everybody likes to use their fireplaces in the winter, but a good tidbit on that is to make sure that that is properly cleaned, get a professional chimney sweep done before you use that, just because that can cause a pretty significant house fire. And everybody definitely wants to use their fireplaces in the winter. So a lot of that basic maintenance stuff, but then also just getting prepared for winter when it comes to ice melt material that you might want to use on your walkways, especially if you have concrete. You're going to want to make sure you have the correct stuff. A lot of people just use whatever, like salt, and that can be really, really poor material to use. So just make sure you're being smart about what you're using.
What should I use?
If you have concrete, that's really the only material you got to be really cautious about. A lot of the other stuff, if it's decking, PVC, wood material, brick, none of that's going to be really affected by it. But if you have concrete walkways, anything that's going to be concrete rated will actually say it on the material. It could be like a calcium chloride or some kind of new hybrid synthetic material, but it's going to say concrete safe on it for sure.
And they even have pet safe ones now. I know that's what we use at home. So you put all of this out there on the surfaces, and then not only does it get on the bottom of their feet and they drag it into the house, but it could actually cause damage to the pads, the paws of their feet. So something else to think of if you have animals and going in and out of the house or on the walkways.
I also feel really attacked. And how soon can you come over and take a look at my gutters? Because they're a mess.
Wait,
Yeah,
ice damming, right? Is that what it's called?
yeah.
All
So
right. I know something. I'm so
yeah,
proud of
in
myself.
the Northeast, and so especially on like a north-facing roof plane, it's amazing how much ice damming can really, really destroy a roof and
Mm.
leak into the house. And gutters will be one of the first things that prevent the water from draining from the roof. But then when spring hits and you get all that snow melt, same thing, it's just going to overflow. I've seen houses where they get floods in their basements, pretty significant leaks because their gutters just aren't draining properly. So gutter maintenance is really huge. And people that don't even have trees on their property don't realize they might have leaves in there from the wind, and a handful of leaves will block it up pretty badly, and nobody wants any blocked gutters.
Yeah. So we know that winter conditions can definitely be extreme, but the sad reality, as Jen was alluding to, is that in adulthood, there's always something to do. So too often we really neglect or ignore these household tasks or little problems until they've become big problems. Then we're frantically scrambling to find a professional, such as yourself, to come fix them. So, what are some of the routine preventative maintenance tasks we should be doing on a regular basis? Not that we want to take away your job or anything, but if we can prevent these, that would be better. So, what are some of the routine preventative maintenance tasks we could do, whether it's monthly, seasonally, annually?
Good question. So a lot of the preventative stuff is always going to be a very big win for homeowners. Small little problems now could absolutely turn into very expensive, daunting repairs down the road. It's kind of the same thing with an automobile. You get a sound going on a car, you're going to want to take a look at it probably sooner than later so it doesn't fall apart while you're driving. It's the same concept with a house. A lot of the preventative stuff that you can definitely take notice of is, again, broken record mode, but gutters. People don't realize how much damage gutters can really do in a house all season long.
Are you
Uh,
hearing him, Jen? Are you hearing this? Gutters? You got this now?
Unfortunately, I got it loud and clear.
well, it's like one of those things where people don't really see the top of them and just assume they're good. And then when it's a heavy rain, no one's really outside. So unless you're looking out the window at the right time or you see a leak in your house, it's not something that people are really paying attention to. And plus, they're a pain in the butt to get to. A lot of people might have a ladder to get to maybe a lower roof line, but a lot of two-story homes, like I said before, like the icing issues in the winter. So that's a big one. A lot of the stuff is going to be on the outside of the house, though, to be honest. That's the protective shell of your home. So loose pieces of siding can turn into a nightmare. If you have a house with wood siding and caulk and paint, if you're not doing any kind of maintenance on the caulking and painting aspect, you might get leaks behind your siding, and that can turn into a problem down the road too. So if you see anything that's loose, falling apart, any gaps in the caulk or anything like that, you're going to want to take a look at that a lot closer. And then on the inside of the house, one of the biggest things that I've seen over the years that people just don't really, I don't know if they don't see it or if they don't think it's that big of a deal, is any bathroom, kitchen areas where you have a wet area, you do not want any gaps in your grout, in your caulk. Those are just major leak points. And people don't realize that a tiny little pinhole could turn into a major overhaul down the road. So if you got anything that shows any water damage, staining, discoloration, the material starts to kind of get punky, like it'll start to flake apart or swell, or you see those gaps in between the backsplash and the countertop behind the sink, those are going to be huge for you to get somebody, if not yourself, to caulk. And the homeowner can really do that stuff. They really can. You just got to make sure that you catch it early on. Otherwise, it could really cause swelling in your trim, tile to buckle, drywall to kind of crumble. So those are really big preventative ones I would recommend people to take a look at. And a couple more very important items to keep an eye on in your homes throughout the year. A couple times a year, you want to take a look at any of your filters for your HVAC systems. If it's up in the attic or if it's a wall mount unit, they're all going to have filters for air quality. So it's really important to keep an eye on those, especially if you have pets or a lot of activity in your house. So you might have to do that every 3 months, 6 months, depending on the usage in your home. And then on top of that, this is a really big important one because some people don't realize the fire hazard it can be is your dryer vents. Dryer vents are very, very important to make sure that not only is the lint trap on your dryer being cleaned out after every use, but the actual vent on the outside of your house is not getting clogged with either debris, bushes, anything like that that could be trapping the lint. And that's a big safety issue. So keep an eye on that also.
So, all of this is really great information. And also, what I hear you saying is that the whole head in the sand, I'm going to ignore that, is probably not the way to go. And, not speaking about myself, of course, but maybe some people may see these things, these spots, these leaks, not even knowing that it's a leak. Like you said, watermarks, cracks in it, and just be like, it's just the house settling or whatever. And so, yeah, okay, note to self, don't
Yeah.
ignore that. Got it.
I mean, also, I will acknowledge that home ownership is a privilege and was kind of the archetypal American dream. And it's a way of building generational wealth to leave something for people who come after you. But honestly, sometimes this stuff is kind of a nightmare. Just listening to Matt talk, I'm like, maybe I'll rent after this because
Right.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So, okay, so you're talking about small repairs, and you said, homeowners really can do this themselves. You don't know me, what I can and can't do. But I think probably we've all been in a position where we thought we could do something and we started doing it. And then we got halfway through and we were like, oh crap. And then we had to call somebody like you to come over. So, are there any around the house projects that you see homeowners doing or attempting that you wish they wouldn't? Just things that you would advise us not to attempt to DIY?
I'm a huge fan of the DIY. Maybe that's just because of my personal preference and my background or my curiosity when it comes to how does this stuff work. That being said, yes, a lot of homeowners have attempted things that I wish they didn't. Do some research. There's plenty of guides out there. If it's a YouTube video, if it's Home Depot has DIY books, but there's plenty of resources out there for homeowners to look into it to find out if they are really up for the challenge. If you do the research and you have the right tools, there's really no reason it shouldn't work out. But that being said, I have seen people attempt to move interior doors, which most of the times requires electrical work or structural work for
That's
framing.
the thing, electricity. Anything that has to do with electrical, I'm not even gonna think about
Yeah,
DIY.
electrical and plumbing for me.
Yeah.
I get worried about trying to dabble, even if it's like, oh, let me take this tile off to see what's behind it. And that happened once here and it was a disaster to fix. So, yeah, that you said something else though about moving a door. Oh, structurally. That's the other thing that I worry about. All right, I will admit I've actually done little bits of framing way back when, a long time ago, tried to do framing things out, but I didn't have to take something down to do it. That is scary to me. Like, I know the house probably won't fall, but I don't actually really know
It
that.
could.
So
I don't know
it
what
could
is
fall
a
right on my head.
load-bearing wall and what is
That's what
not a
I'm saying.
load-bearing
Listen to
wall.
you, load bearing. You got it. That's
I
right.
know, I just know the word, but I don't know how to know if one is or not.
So that being said, I've seen people try to attempt this stuff, and it really could cause structural issues in your home.
Yeah.
Electrical stuff, more or less, if you know what you're looking for, you can definitely just take care of some of the basics. But you can easily cause a fire if you're not with the right mindset of how to
Usually,
work that.
you're usually gonna just set your house on fire. You do know me after all, actually.
And more importantly, what I found is that with plumbing, a lot of people might do something, and if they don't have it 100% tight, it could cause a small drip. And you put the cabinet back, you put the wall up, and you think it's good, and that little drip can cause some major severe damage in the background. And that's what you don't know until you open up the wall sometimes. One of my projects coming up this week is actually a leak assessment, and we're not sure where the leak's coming from, but it does major damage on the primary floor, the downstairs, and it's hopefully it's just something that failed over time. But a lot of people, when they go to do this stuff, they think they got it right, they don't test it correctly, they button it up, and then 6 months later they're giving us a call.
That's the
And it's a
part
lot
that
and it's a lot
scares
more
me.
expensive.
Yep,
Right, but that it's
exactly.
not even so. I mean, yes, of course, the cost, but that's not even it. For me, I worry about that small leak. I mean, obviously, the funny comedic shot of water just pouring at somebody when they try to open a faucet is one thing. But for me, it's the little drip that you don't know is happening. And then I'm always worried that there's like mold behind the walls that we don't know about. And I always get worried about that, honestly.
And it really can happen to anyone, DIY or even trades themselves. I've seen issues happen, but if you're going to tackle a project, do the research, reach out to people, even get opinions. Like me, I come out and do free estimates. I'll come out there and gladly give some input or advice. And if it helps steer them in one direction versus another, great. But there's plenty of resources out there to look into it. And if you have any nervousness or hesitation on attempting it, don't.
Mm, that is,
sometimes that won't go well if you're not even like mentally prepared for it.
I feel like that's the best advice.
Yep.
Any hesitation, just don't.
If in doubt, don't try.
just don't do
Yeah.
it.
All that being said, when it comes to either winterizing your homes or the routine preventative maintenance to keep your house in tip-top shape, as we mentioned before, the DIY stuff is great, but it's not what everybody's going to be up for. Some people don't have the schedules for it. Some people don't have any of the basic tools for it. And some people just don't want to attack any of it. Perfectly fine. For some of the more mechanical based systems, you're going to want to have a professional crew come out and make sure that everything is being tuned and being maintained properly. That way you can get the most efficiency out of them and prevent any kind of major setbacks that can be very costly down the road. Outside of those companies, for those unique systems, Bryant Home Improvement can be a solution for any of the other stuff that you're looking to do on your house. Some people think that some of the stuff is too small, or that in order to get a trade out to take a look at stuff, it's got to be a much larger issue or project. Not the case here at all. Take a look at anything for you. I've done plenty of gutter cleanouts, dryer vent cleanouts. I've even looked at a lot of the HVAC filters and systems up in the attics, because a lot of people don't want to climb up in their attics, especially in the summertime.
So I know you have a ton of experience and you really can do anything from basic handyman repairs to full renovations, drawing on your years of experience managing major development projects for a luxury home builder and doing the work yourself with your own hands. What advice do you have for us about how to find, how to choose, how to hire a handyman or a contractor? What should we look for to make sure we're choosing a reliable partner?
Great question, and that's a tough one to answer just because there's definitely a lot of really reliable trades out in the market, and there's definitely some sketchy ones that sometimes people don't come across until it's too late. The biggest thing for me is recommendations. Word of mouth goes a long way, because I hear the same horror stories that they called somebody up they found online, or they just saw their van or their truck out in the street and they don't show up. I've heard horror stories of they demoed the wrong room. We had major issues and never came back to finish the project. So it can definitely be scary. There is no real easy answer on that, besides if you have anybody that can recommend someone that's been in their home, because that's really nerve-wracking to trust someone with your house to come into your home. So if it's a recommendation from someone that you absolutely trust, that's probably the best approach to begin with. Recommendations online, the reviews are always over the place, but if you can find a really good set of reviews consistently, give them a shot. Definitely meet with them. You can definitely tell how well they could be to work with, because customer service, customer experience is a huge part of this too. And the fact that there's plenty of trades that don't call back, don't show up, there's plenty of better trades that will. So it's a tough one to answer though.
Do we need to see people's licenses, insurance, things to check just to make sure that like we're protected if something goes wrong with the job?
Yeah, absolutely. That should be a baseline for them all, is that they have insurance, because even the best trade can come in and based upon what the house might have had in the background, like done in the years past, they can run into a problem that they weren't prepared for, and they could do some water damage to your home. They can definitely have an accident where they drop something and damage other part of your house, or they can even have an injury in your home, which is really scary. So make sure they're definitely insured and licensed for especially any of the mechanical trades. If there's going to be an electrician or plumber, they got to be certified. Definitely want to go down that path with that.
How do I check on that? Is there a state registry? Like, how do I find out other than somebody saying, don't worry, I'm insured?
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to ask for proof, especially if it's any of the mechanical trades. They need to be certified, licensed, and fully covered for electrical work, plumbing work, HVAC. So you'll definitely be able to ask for that information. For general contractor stuff, handyman stuff, not every region is going to require everything to be licensed and insured. For the bare minimum, though, you're going to definitely want to make sure that they have general liability and workers' comp. There are search methods online, but I would just recommend that you ask the trade to supply you with documents showing that it's current and active in that moment. There's plenty of people out there that'll put on a good show, but it's really tough sometimes, and that's why know that you can trust someone that's been in someone else's house. It's a good chance it's going to be fine. The horror stories that I've heard though, when it comes to the poor customer service experience, or people that are really not certified skill level wise to take care of a project, a good binder of recommendations, photos, and then obviously the licensing or insurance documents are going to be like a nice bundle to feel a little more confident going into it.
You made a really good point that reviews are great. I mean, right? I always go by Google reviews and see what they've got, not only like how many stars, but see what people are actually saying. But testimonials from people that you know for this type of thing actually goes a long way, considering, like you said, they're coming into your home. It's not a business you're going to. So having testimonials from somebody that you know and trust, it probably goes even farther. So that's actually a really good point. Yeah.
So it's very valid for us to want to do all of our homework on somebody that we're going to hire, right? This can sometimes be a really big investment. If you're coming over to do a big renovation, you're going to be in our home. You might be in our home sometimes when nobody else is. So it's great. We all want to do our due diligence and make sure that we're getting a contractor who's going to be a good partner. We've all heard the nightmare stories about the contractors who start the work and then disappear, and they don't answer the phone, they don't text you back. But how can we be good customers? Like, I don't want to be the nightmare customer that then word gets around that nobody wants to come to my house and fix stuff because they're like, oh, she's a disaster. So what's some good etiquette for us when we hire tradespeople or a handy person to
That's
come
an
over?
interesting perspective. Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I've seen a range of homeowners that I work with. Some of my favorites are the ones that are just going to have great personable skills too, in the sense of good communication, light on the expectations that everything's a 24-hour service. Sometimes it takes time to get back to the homeowner. So the same can be kind of envisioned for the homeowner. You don't have to get back to me right away. You don't have to get back to me at midnight. I want you to go hang out with your family and disconnect from whatever we're about to get into contract wise. And the other part of it, though, is the biggest thing I can say is just try to know what you want before the project starts. Not saying changing a project midway isn't enjoyable on some level, but it really could add to the schedule and to the budget. And then it could turn into a kind of bad experience for everybody involved. So having everything mapped out to begin with and making sure everybody's on the same page, that's where over communicating is fine with me. I want to make sure that when I go to start a project, I know exactly what you're looking for, because my biggest thing is I want to make you happy in the end, and I want to come in under budget and on schedule. And if a homeowner changes their tune or style or material partway through, it can definitely throw some curveballs at everyone.
See, I am a nightmare. I am a good
I know.
communicator, and I'm definitely going to be the person that says, "Come on, it's Friday, it's 3:30. Go get your kid. Go have a nice weekend." I'm good with that, but I don't know what I want until I see it, because I'm not a visual person and I'm not good at visualizing what I want it to look like. So I am kind of the nightmare client in that way, because I'm going to be like, I don't know, do something. And then you start doing it. I'm like, but not that, because I didn't know it was going to look like that until it looked like that. So,
You're not the nightmare customer at all. You're the average, if not more than the average, because a lot of people have a hard time visualizing it. And I mean, I'll be honest, I love building it. I love making the wow factor and making people very happy to see it. If it's going to be a showpiece in the kitchen or an addition or a bathroom renovation where now they want to be in that bathroom all the time, I love that outcome. Getting that initial perspective, though, sometimes can be tricky. Don't overcomplicate it, though. Don't go down the rabbit hole of selecting too much to look at. Narrow it down to a few things, and then talking to the contractor, the handyman, whoever it is, that can help navigate it, like I said before, steer it into a certain direction, and maybe it can help contain it or control it, because it can definitely get out of control. And that's kind of a letdown. It should be a fun project and a wow factor in the end.
And I think that this kind of also brings up the topic about a designer, right? I mean, I know for structural stuff, you certainly want to make sure you're working with an architect or somebody, because a contractor, unless they have also a degree in engineering or architecture, they're not the ones who, sure, they can move a door and know that something is load bearing and that kind of stuff for simple work. But if you're doing bigger projects, I
Oh,
would
look who's
imagine.
saying load bearing now.
I know, I know. I learned it from you. Um, so you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who has that experience, and not all contractors should be expected to have architectural or engineering degrees. So I would imagine that if you're doing something like major structural renovations, gutting a house, doing all of that, that you're going to want to have worked with somebody like an architect or an engineer who can sketch that stuff out. But also, if we're talking about just design stuff, that's another thing I've seen, is that people just assume that the contractors also are going to have the vision.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily always going to be the case, I would imagine. Like, some people may be able to do the design too, but I know I've seen like a lot of kitchen designers and bathroom designers, and they're not going to be the ones who are going to build it, but they can sit down and, yes, that is an additional cost, of course.
Yeah.
But if you're working with a contractor who's also a designer, guess what? That's going to be an additional cost too, because you're paying for that expertise. So I would think that, having a partner in construction who also has design connections is somebody who is probably good to have.
Yeah, and that investment up front can go a long way, because I've seen where people have laid down tile and then they hate it and they rip it out and redo it because they didn't know what they wanted up front.
Mm.
So that investment up front can really help map it out to make sure that everybody sees it before you start. And then having to retile a room is very expensive.
Oh, retiling is one thing I can't even imagine. Someone's like, I'm going to want my cabinets facing this way. And then at the end, they're like, oh, actually, no, I would have rather had the kitchen designed differently and had my sink over here, my dishwasher over there. So I'm not saying retiling is easy, because I've never laid down even one single tile in my life. But I just can imagine like people saying like, oh, I've been to somebody else's house and they had this amazing kitchen and this is how I want it. And then it's done in their own house. And they're like, oh, maybe I should have talked to somebody first, because this doesn't work with the flow of my house. So I would think that speaking to a designer is definitely a good move.
Yeah, and to be honest, when it comes to a lot of the samples and stuff out there, because you can go to any store and get like little samples, little swatches.
Mm.
To be honest, like if you're going to paint a room, paint a chunk of the wall, because that color in the store is going to be different than the color in the corner of the room versus the center of the room. Look at it during the daylight, nighttime lights, whatever it is. It's easy to do that and paint right over it with a different color. It's definitely more complicated to lay flooring, tile, countertops, all of that, and then having to redo it. So
Mm.
the more research up front, the more you kind of blend it together visually, hopefully it helps out.
That's a great idea with the paint.
Well, before we let you go, I will say that I am a fan of your work. I have seen some very nice bathroom work that you have done at Ellen and Howie's. I am also a big fan of your underfloor heating, which is the most brilliant, luxe, posh experience that you can have in a bathroom in the Hudson Valley in the wintertime.
But not that expensive, I think, either. It's right. I don't think it's that expensive to lay down heated
Really?
floor, is it?
No, the big cost in that is just most of the renovation that's always kind of built into the flooring cost. So the cost of the tile could range from $1.50 a square foot to $7.50 plus, even higher. But the flooring heat itself, it's a pretty consistent cost.
Yeah. All right. But so what are some of the most fun things that you've done? What are the things that you get really excited when somebody wants? And did I hear that you recently did a whole deck and hot tub project?
I've done a lot of decks over the years, but I did a raised patio for a hot tub off of a new deck. That was pretty nice. That was a lot of fun. But for me, to be honest, when I first started out, I hated painting. I really did. It was too slow, and I hated being in a room for that long, so to speak. But now I kind of enjoy it more because of the before and after effect. But any of the custom stuff or challenging stuff that people don't know how to resolve, one of the projects I've been working on recently was built, I don't know, late 1800s or something,
Oh.
and it's totally out of square, out of plumb. There's not a single flat spot in the floor. Everything's pitched, tilted, and they had a rooftop door, so they needed a door, and I can't just buy a door to match that, so I built a custom door that was kind of out of square, and it was a really fun project. The customer and the owners loved it, so that was even more special for me. But any of that challenging stuff, I really
You
enjoy
like
it.
the problem solving.
I do. I always find there's a solution. Sometimes it's not easy to see it, and sometimes you might even have to start it a little bit to feel it out. But I kind of like those challenges. Nobody really likes doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
It can definitely get boring. But the beauty of it is that every house is different. They're all built differently over the years, and everybody's view on their home as a homeowner is different too. So it's a fun blend out there. So yeah, any of those challenges that people might have out there, give me a shout out. I'll take a look at it any day.
Do you do custom woodworking too? Like if people have like beams and things like that in the home?
Yeah, any of that decorative stuff, absolutely. I've done everything in a house from framing to insulation, windows, trim, custom woodworking, painting, all of it. I really enjoy it all. I find that it's almost therapeutic on some level, but it really has been a blessing to be able to help out so many people over the years.
That's such a great
Can you
point.
coffer my ceiling?
Yeah, of course.
Coffer. Look at you pulling out all the big words.
Are you Googling words right now?
I knew that word, although I could not tell you exactly what a coffered ceiling looks like. No, I can. It's like, yeah, it's fancy. All right. So can you build me floor to ceiling built-in bookcases with a rolling ladder?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to.
That's all I need in life.
That's pretty amazing. So how can people find you if they would like to use your services?
Best way to get a hold of me right now is probably through the website, BryantHomeImprovement.com. You can do submissions through there.
There is also a link directly to BryantHomeImprovement.com on the episode page at ValleyGirlsPodcast.com, as well as a handy printable checklist for many of the items that we were discussing today. So definitely check that out, ValleyGirlsPodcast.com. Well, thank you so much. This has been very informative, especially for Jen who needs to clean her gutters. This has been really fun and informative. And thanks you so much for being here.
Thanks again for having me. And it's been a real pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thanks for sponsoring our season. We'll be back with season 5 in the new year. Just hint, hint.
Yes. Thank you so much for being our season sponsor. It's really been great.
Well, keep it going. I love the episodes coming out, everything you guys are doing, connecting everybody in the Hudson Valley. And there really is so much in the Hudson Valley. I love that you guys are doing this, and I can't wait to keep seeing what you guys are coming out with.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe, rate and review, because as we know, it all helps tremendously. Do you love the Valley Girls? Tell a friend. Have ideas for the podcast? Tell us. The easiest way to chat with us is our Facebook group, Valley Girls Podcast Pod Squad, or you can contact us through our website, valleygirlspodcast.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter so you never miss a thing. And of course, we're on Instagram at valleygirlspodny. We can't wait to hear from you. Oh, and do you love our theme music as much as we do? The music for this episode is by Robert Burke Warren, entitled Painting a Vast Blue Sky, and can be found on his album Red-Headed Friend, available on iTunes and Spotify, and at the link in the show notes. Bye for now.